Welcome to the Cheeky Traveler Podcast. This is episode 1. I'm your host, Tom Donnelly, and I thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk to you about adventure traveling. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, since this is episode 1. Maybe you found us through the website or some other means of communication. But I'm a group travel organizer from Chicago, Illinois. The real reason that I started the adventure travel community is because every time I'm traveling somewhere, I'm really only looking for off-the-beaten-path activities and just cool places to go. You know, I like to see the typical tourist attractions when you go to a main city, of course, who doesn't? But outside of that, I'm always looking for more. I want to see something more than what people usually see when they go somewhere. And that's what my main goal is every time I visit a city. And I never really made that my main goal. It just kind of sort of happened to be that way. You know, I found myself every time I was going to a city or a country trying to find places that people don't really go when they're there. So, I mean, that's what I'm really aiming for every time I visit somewhere. So that's just a little bit about myself. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about adventure traveling, what it is, how to do it, and where you want to go. Alright, so the first topic we're going to cover is what is adventure travel? Well, I'm not big into using dictionary definitions, so I'm going to give you my definition and a lot of other adventure travelers' definitions. So adventure traveling is going to a city, country, whatever your destination is, not staying in an all-inclusive resort where you're going to sit there, sit at the bar, get all the free drinks, all the free food, whatever. None of that, because all that's going to do is keep you inside that resort. You're not going to go out, you're not going to explore, only because you've already paid for all that, so why would you spend the extra money? That's not what I'm into. What I'm into is going somewhere, finding a very cool place to stay. I'm not going to stay in an all-inclusive resort. For example, in our upcoming Belize trip in November, first place we're going to stay is some river cabanas. So there's really only 4 cabanas in this entire place. It's right on a river. I rented out 3 of them. But, you know, I found a bunch of resorts in the city that we're going to go to and some hotels, but I was like, well, there's got to be cooler places to stay than just these hotels. I mean, it's Belize, it's not overdeveloped at all. I know there's something better than these normal hotels. So what I did was I just did a lot of research in Google, used Lonely Planet, used Gap Adventures, read a few articles, and eventually I just sent an email to, I believe it was the destination management company of Belize, of places to stay around San Ignacio, the main city that we're going to be visiting, the first main city we're going to be visiting in Belize. And they sent me a link with a bunch of different places to stay around there, and I found these cabanas. So getting back on track here, that to me is one, adventure traveling. Where you're going to stay. I mean, are you going to be staying in an all-inclusive resort where everybody's going to be doing the same thing, or are you going to be staying in a cabana or a cottage and finding your own activities to do and building off of that? So an example of some activities that I do in my trips is, I'll use the example of Costa Rica, my past group trip. In one day we went waterfall rappelling, so we rappelled 150-foot waterfalls. It's also known as canyoning. After that, we ate lunch with a bunch of locals, actually the guides that took us waterfall rappelling. After we rappelled, and we just ate with a bunch of local people, all the guys that were with us that went waterfall rappelling with us, the tour guys. And after that, we rested for a while. Then later that day, we did a volcano hike. We hiked the base of the Arenal volcano, and we were basically in the jungle surrounded by howler monkeys, howling the whole time, which was awesome. Toucans, owl-eyed butterflies, you know, you see a bunch of cool things while you're in the jungle. After that, we left the volcano and we were heading to some hot springs, but before we did that, we stopped on the way to watch the volcano, ate some pizza, so we hung out there for a while. Then after that, we went to the hot springs, which hot springs doesn't sound like an adventure activity, but we came to realize that the hot springs we were going to actually had 3 of the fastest water slides I've ever seen in my entire life, and the people with me said the same exact thing. Actually, we saw a few people get hurt on this water slide. I'll put a link to this on the site. actually underneath this podcast. So if you want to check out those water slides, I'll find a video for you and I'll post that under there. One of the questions I always get when I come back from a trip is, how much did you spend? Because for some reason, people think you need to spend a fortune when you do all these activities. How did you cram in all these activities into a few days, and how did you find all these activities? And how did you stay in such a nice place without spending a few $100 per night? So here's a tip you can use, something that I always use before I plan a trip, of where I'm going to stay and where I want to go is do an in-depth search of where you're going. So first you're going to want to find out the places that you're going to want to visit in that destination, in that country, or wherever you're going. If it's just going to be a main city, find out exactly where you want to go. That's the number one thing you want to do. And one way that I do this is I use travel guides. One of the ones I really like to use is eyewitness travel guides. They're books. There's basically an eyewitness travel guide for every city or country that you ever wanted to go to. So I'll put a link for these on the website. That's usually the first thing I'll do is use a travel guide. So an eyewitness travel guide, you could use Lonely Planet. They have great travel guides. Also sometimes magazines, they outline destinations of where you want to go. So anyways, that's the first thing that I do is find the places I want to go, outline that, decide how many days I'm going to do the trip, and then once I figure out where I'm going, how many days the trip's going to be, I'll do an in-depth search of that first place, that first city that we're going to visit, and check of reviews of places to stay. A lot of the time you could find these in the travel guides, or you could even do like a Google search on these. You could find a lot of reviews that way. Alright, so after you find that place that you're going to want to stay, the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out the activities that you want to do in that destination. One thing you could use to figure out the activities you want to do is use the eyewitness travel guides or the Lonely Planet travel guides, or if you're not using any of the travel guides, do some Google searches. Just search the internet. Look at forums of what other travelers have done when they were in that destination. You're definitely sure to find a lot of cool things that you could do in those destinations. After you figure out the activities that you're going to do, your next step is going to be the transportation. How are you going to get to your destination? So to get to these places, it can be difficult sometimes. Sometimes it's easy. If you're booking through a tour operator, most of the time this will be really simple and they'll set that up for you. I'll get more into that in a different episode. But if you want to do this yourself, you could hire somebody to drive you guys around, or you could rent a car. If you do that, you're just going to have to map out a place that you're going to visit and make sure you know where you're going, because when you're in a foreign country, you do not want to end up in a bad place, especially if you cannot speak their language. Believe me, that's the last thing you want to do. That has never happened to me. I've had some bad experiences traveling abroad with in some bad places, but nothing crazy like where I've gotten lost and couldn't find my way out. But you don't want that to happen. So the transportation is going to be one of the biggest factors. If you don't feel safe driving to your destination by yourself or renting a car, don't do it. There's plenty of transportation you could take besides doing it yourself. I mean, you could hop a bus. You could usually find bus schedules online, or you could contact the destination management company of the place you're going. Just type in DMC of your destination, wherever you're going. If you don't know what a destination management company is, I'm not going to get into that now. I'll get into that later, but you could do it that way. So that's the how-to in adventure traveling. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is where to go. There is thousands upon thousands of places to go, and adventure traveling, there's really no limitation of what is your dream vacation. Where do you really want to go? Because most likely wherever you want to go, there's going to be adventure traveling activities to do there. Whether it be a country in Europe, a country in Africa, Central America, South America, Asia, wherever. There's going to be adventure in every place you go. Alright, what you're going to want to do is, what I do is I use a sheet of the top 10 destinations that I want to visit. And what I'll do is I'll list them all out. It might take a while to figure out your top 10, but whatever, you could do your top. And then just number them in the order of which one you want to visit first. So say Costa Rica is the first one you want to visit, or South Africa. Put that at the top. And that's going to be your first destination. So you found out where you're going to go, and then the next thing is put all the steps into action that I listed before. In a simple format, that is adventure traveling and how I do it. So that's the what it is, the how to do it, and figure out where you're going to go. Really not that difficult. Don't make it more difficult than it really is. We have plenty of other podcasts coming up. Actually, I have an interview podcast coming up with a group leader in Costa Rica. He does group tours in Central America, and we're going to have plenty of other great interviews coming up. Thank you for listening to episode 1, and we will see you inside the community. You could find us at cheekytraveler.com. cheekytraveler.com. Again, that's cheekytraveler.com. There's plenty of great information there, and I hope to see you there. If you have any questions or comments, please do not be afraid to email me at comments@cheekytraveler.com, and I'll also list a voicemail line that you could call and leave a voicemail on if you have a comment or a question or something that you want us to cover on the podcast. All right, we will see you again. Cheers to plenty of adventures.